Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I have Alyssa Poggioli with me. She helps engineers confidently create connections. I'm super excited. I've been seeing some of her posts inside of my feed, and I can't wait to dig in deeper into her story and talk about some traveling, EQ, and just some different things that are going to help people start connecting more effectively. So, is there anything else you'd like me to add to that introduction?
No, I think that pretty much sums me up.
Excellent. So, what were you doing before you started in coaching?
I've spent the last 8 years in corporate fitness in the Chicagoland area. I originally went to college for health promotion and business, but with the original intent to get into like corporate wellness, well-being. I've always been really passionate in all elements of health and well-being, but corporate fitness was just kind of what was there and what was out there. So I got into it. And then slowly realized that it was just a very surface level, quick fix focused industry on the depths in which I want to help a person. So I left, started my own practice to help people with their mental and emotional well-being, the inner work that allows the outer work to happen, per se.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So then what problems are people trying to solve when they come to work with you?
If people know me from my past, they usually want weight loss, more energy, work-life balance. But more recently, it's become more of a how to have more empathy, how to communicate and have deeper connections, create more intimacy, have the ability to advance, like having those soft skills and the emotional intelligence and awareness that allow a person to both connect deeper and advance in the professional levels.
Okay. And then do you only work with engineers, or is there anyone who is trying to seek those benefits?
Right now, anyone, if I had to say, like there's three peers, right? Obviously, I'm here to make the world a happier, healthier place, a more aware and awake, enlightened place. So anyone, yes, but then it would tear down into middle-aged men, and then it tears down into an engineer and or introvert.
Okay. Can you kind of break that down? So like, is it more for people who are more like logic minded and helping them like kind of just get in tune with their emotions, or why did you choose like that specific group?
I love this question. Well, it was my time in my last corporate fitness center. I managed Motorola Solutions headquarter building fitness center. And what I noticed is there's a lot of brilliant, logic, analytical, objective-based or minded people there. However, when you get to know them, they struggle with a lot of anxiety, depression, loneliness, confidence issues. So I really became passionate in helping people in that, because even myself, I've always struggled with anxiety and depression. I'm in the middle of 5 girls, so I've had my own like childhood neglect or beliefs of not being enough. And it's all unnecessary. And that's what I'm truly passionate in helping people kind of get rid of, because, and so in my work, I am I would say, psychoanalytical mind. I love to analyze the crap out of things. And that's one thing to do. So I help use those skills to help a person become more analytical of who it is you're being, what it is you're doing, and why you're doing it, and understanding and taking the ownership that in every choice you make, there's an outcome or outcome, circumstance, or consequence. And that's the reality in life. And so getting clear on why it is you do that, or what are the beliefs and thoughts you're telling yourself, in the process of making those choices and decisions can be really awakening for some, in understanding how they not only show up for themselves in the relationships or in their careers.
Mm-hmm. That's, there's a lot to kind of unpack there. For example, the first place I like to go. So, how much of that is like getting out of your own head? So, right. So if you're analytics, you're thinking of like all the different things. Like sometimes for me, right, if I'm going to go into a social situation, I'm thinking of all the different scenarios that could possibly happen when I talk to a person. Is it good to have that awareness, or is that a bad thing to have that awareness?
I think it's a twofold, right? But as I feel into it, I think it's a bad thing. The more heady you are, the more disconnected you are. It's one thing to be aware, but it's another thing to be able to be present. And being present is what is the real trick to life is. I was just working with a client later last week. He's dating, and he was trying to strategize, like, oh, well, if I do this, then this will be able to happen, or say this, then maybe this will happen. And it's like, human relationships and connecting is not a project. It's not a thing that you have a strategy towards, because everyone is different, and everyone is going to bring up things within you, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, that can either be a blessing or a curse. You get to look at it and grow from it. So, long answer short, I don't think that is a good thing. It's a very heady thing.
Yeah. So when someone works with you, do you give them structure as to which ones are, like, what counts as heady versus which ones are not? Like, how do you give them structure? What do you do to kind of help them improve?
Yeah, it's all about having the fundamental of as awareness, but then B, getting clear and helping you train yourself to tap into your intuition. Gut wisdom is a real thing, but the problem with it is it takes the practice of getting out of the head and really feeling into something. But the mind is wired in a way in which it's so effective and efficient at being logical, objective, and strategic. It's not an easy practice to then like tap down into your heart or your gut and to find an answer. But when you do it, there's a lot less mind chatter that allows you to not be spinning so much. So it's actually about tapping into the intuition, so then you can train yourself to come from a more grounded space so that you don't have that mental exhaustion. Because mental exhaustion or continual thinking can actually often comes from a space of insecurity or uncertainty. It's not necessarily a good thing to be continuously thinking all the time.
Can you give me, like for example, are you talking about like with all the different situations and scenarios, or are you talking about just in general thinking all the time?
Well, thinking is, it depends what you're thinking on. I've been in Asia for the last 3 months, and Buddhism is such a strong practice here. And I'm like, Buddhism is not a religion. So if you think I'm going to like preach and cast it on you, I'm not. It's a practice though. It's a practice of becoming aware of the mind and being able to slow the monkey mind down, or the inner chatter. And so when you're constantly thinking, whether it's positive to manifest something, whether it's like proactively to create a project, you're always in a stimulated sensory or a factor. And it's not necessarily that process is a bad thing. It's the subconscious things that's going on when you're not thinking that is more important, because what you choose to think about when you don't have to think, says a lot about what you are or what you're about. And so if you're never taking time to slow down and connect with what your in-person human form experiences of a situation or someone else, it's almost like, what's the point of being here? We're not robots, we're humans. We're meant to connect. We're meant to have empathy. We're meant to feel. Hell, we're meant to smell, taste, touch. Like, we get a whole bandwidth of things. But sometimes it's easy in today's society with how digital we've become, that we've moved away from this human interaction, this human connection that allows a lot of good